Red Bull was already fast. Now they might be half a second faster. With only days to go before the Australian Grand Prix, Max Verstappen has revealed that the RB22 is arriving in Melbourne with a major upgrade package. And according to internal projections, the game could reach up to half a second per lap. Half a second at race 1. That is not development. That is a statement. We are talking about redesigned side pods that increase rear downforce by around 15%. A completely revised front wing targeting slow corner understeer. A diffuser extension improving traction out of key exits. And a Ford power unit running 12 degrees cooler, with zero energy clipping on long straights. That means sustained attack. Lap after lap. While others fade. Here is the part that has teams nervous. Leaked telemetry from Bahrain suggests Red Bull was already 0.4 quicker in race simulations. And that was before this Spec 1.1 package. If these upgrades deliver what the data predicts, Australia may not be a fight. It may be a warning. And the most shocking detail, the one that explains why even the FIA is watching closely, is not the aero gain. It is how the Ford engine is now managing energy differently. Stay with me. Because Melbourne might not just start the season. It might define it. So let's break down what Red Bull was really doing in Bahrain. Because just like every dominant team before them, they did not show everything. On the surface, the RB22 looked calm. No dramatic qualifying simulations. No desperate low fuel laps chasing headlines. But underneath that calm exterior, the numbers were unsettling. Red Bull completed more than 2,000 laps across testing, with zero major mechanical failures. That is not just reliability. That is confidence. When a team runs that much mileage without fear, it means the platform is stable. And a stable platform allows aggressive development. Now here is where it becomes uncomfortable for rivals. Leaked long-run telemetry suggested Verstappen was roughly 0.4 per lap faster than Ferrari during extended race simulations. 0.4. Over a full Grand Prix distance, that is strategic control. You dictate pace. You dictate tire wear. You dictate pit windows. And this was before the Australia upgrade package. But the most shocking number did not come from lap times. It came from thermal data. The Ford power unit reportedly ran around 12 degrees Celsius cooler than expected, even under sustained load. Cooler engine temperatures mean less stress. Less stress means more consistent deployment. More consistent deployment means no energy clipping at the end of long straights. And that explains something important. In Bahrain, the RB22 hit approximately 344 km per hour on the main straight without drag reduction. Pure efficiency. Now imagine that efficiency combined with an aerodynamic package specifically tuned for Melbourne. This is not random development. This is calculated targeting. Verstappen himself described the mileage as positive, but hinted that balance and tire sensitivity still required analysis. That is classic understatement. Because when Verstappen says there is more to unlock, history tells us something. There usually is. But here is the tension. Tire sensitivity under aggressive pushing remains a variable. If the RB22 overheats the rear tires in Melbourne's hotter conditions, degradation could spike. And Australia can be unpredictable. Wind. Track evolution. Safety cars. All of it magnifies small weaknesses. So this is the picture heading into the first Grand Prix. Red Bull already had dominant race pace. They already had thermal efficiency. They already had mechanical reliability. Now they are adding aerodynamic refinement and hybrid optimization on top of that. Which means Australia is not just a race. It is a stress test. If the upgrades deliver immediately, the psychological advantage becomes enormous. If they struggle, rivals gain hope. But the next piece of this story is what truly separates Red Bull from everyone else. Because the Spec 1.1 package is not just about more downforce. It is about balance correction. And that is where the RB22 might become even more dangerous than the raw numbers suggest. Now we need to talk about balance. Because raw speed is one thing, but balance is what makes a car untouchable. Throughout testing, Verstappen hinted at one weakness: slow corner rotation. He described the RB22 as slightly awkward in tight hairpins. That matters in Melbourne. Turn 1. Turn 3. Heavy braking. Sharp rotation. Immediate traction on exit. If the front does not bite cleanly, you lose momentum all the way down the next straight. Red Bull's answer is the revised front wing. A completely new mainplane geometry. More camber. Sharper outboard flap design. A more pronounced footplate with an upper vane element. In simple terms, more authority at low speed. More confidence turning in. That upgrade alone is estimated to bring roughly a tenth and a half in Sector 1. But this is where it connects to something bigger. Front-end grip changes how the rear behaves. If the car rotates naturally, you reduce steering input. Reduced steering input means less front tire scrub. Less scrub means lower temperature spikes, which feeds directly into tire longevity. Do you see the chain reaction? This is not about fixing understeer. It is about protecting Sunday pace. Now combine that with the sidepod's blown diffuser version 2. The deeper undercut channels airflow more aggressively toward the diffuser. Hot air from the Ford unit energizes the rear floor, increasing downforce in medium speed sections by roughly 0.2. That strengthens Sector 2. Flowing corners. Load consistency. And then comes the diffuser extension at the rear crash structure. Improved airflow expansion at corner exit. More traction. More stability when applying throttle. That is critical out of turn 15 in Melbourne, because that exit dictates your speed down the main straight. Add the airbox winglets and refined mirror mounts. Small pieces, but they clean turbulent wake and improve rear stability by around 5% in crosswind conditions. Melbourne can shift wind direction quickly. This is preemptive engineering. When you add all of this together, the projected gain approaches half a second per lap. Half a second. In modern Formula 1, that margin can feel like an entire development cycle. But here is the strategic nuance. Red Bull's focus appears tilted toward Sunday. Not just pole position. Race pace. Thermal stability. Tire preservation. Verstappen has already shown he can manage stints with almost no degradation, roughly a tenth per lap over long simulations. If the upgraded front wing reduces stress in slow corners, that number could improve even further. And if the Ford power unit continues running cooler with no clipping, sustained deployment becomes a weapon. So now imagine Australia.
Red Bull qualifies near the front. Not necessarily dominant on Saturday, but controlled. Then Sunday arrives. Tire life remains stable. Energy deployment stays consistent. Rear stability holds through Sector 2. And suddenly, lap after lap, the gap grows quietly. That is how championships start. Not with drama. With inevitability. But there is still one variable left. Hydraulic reliability had a minor scare in testing. Small issues can become large under race stress. And Australia's street circuit nature punishes mechanical weakness. So the real question heading into Melbourne is this: has Red Bull simply refined an already dominant platform? Or have they taken a step that pushes the RB22 into a different category entirely? Because if this Spec 1.1 package delivers exactly what internal projections suggest, Australia will not just be the first race. It will be the first warning.